Hi everyone, I'm Rena 9 and thank you for joining us. Officials say the man who opened fire on city employees in Virginia Beach Friday only recently purchased a weapon that he used in the attack. And he did so legally. The shooter killed at least 12 people and wounded 4 others. Police identify the gunman as Dwayne Craddock. He had been a city employee for 15 years, but at a press conference Saturday morning, officials focused on the victims.
This morning, I have the responsibility to inform friends, co-workers, and the public of those who lost their lives yesterday. All but one of the 12 victims were employees of the city of Virginia Beach. I have worked with most of them for many years. We want you to know who they were, so in the days and weeks to come, you will learn what they meant to all of us, to their families, to their friends, and to their co-workers.
Well, the gunman was armed with a semi-automatic handgun equipped with high-capacity magazines and a silencer. CBS News correspondent Errol Barnett reports.
We have multiple live victims that are coming out.
As city employees dialed 911, Virginia Beach police were closing in. 4 officers entering the public utilities building, locating the gunman by following the sound of gunfire.
They immediately engaged with the suspect, and I can tell you that it was a long gun battle between those 4 officers and that suspect.
Police Chief James Cervera described a chaotic scene.
And many times when we talk about an officer-involved shooting situation, it may be minimal rounds by the suspect and by the police officers. This was well beyond that.
One officer who was struck was saved by his bulletproof vest. The suspect eventually shot dead, but not before he killed 1 person outside the building and 11 more inside. Victims found on 3 separate floors. 4 others, including the wounded officer, were also shot, while terrified employees hid inside offices.
They said to stay in there until the cops got there to let us come out. There was probably about 20 of us in an office crammed in. We barricaded the door.
Did you hear any gunshots?
Yes. Yeah, we did.
I'm hoping she come walk out or call me and let me know she at the church.
After hearing of the shooting, Anthony Daniels waited in a parking lot to see what happened to his wife. She was eventually reunited with him.
Our hearts ache over the senseless violence that has been inflicted upon the Virginia Beach community today.
Meanwhile, Chief Cervera was adamant about how his department will handle discussing the shooter.
We're going to mention his name once, and then he will be forever referred to as the suspect, because our focus now is the dignity and respect to the victims in this case.
Joining us now, Guy Tower. He's a city council member in Virginia Beach. Mr. Tower, I want to ask you first off, how is your community doing?
Well, our community's in mourning. We're grieving. Life is going on, but very slowly. We're in a resort community, and it is right at the beginning of our resort season, so we have a lot of visitors in town, and they are expressing their sympathies to all of us who live here, and we are deeply appreciative of that.
What went through your mind when you learned about what had happened?
Well, I just left the municipal center a couple of hours earlier, so that was close enough call to go through my mind about myself. And then I began to think about others who worked in that building. These are the people that do the everyday work of the city. City government is there to make us safe, to keep our streets clean and paved, and those were the folks doing that kind of work. And we valued them highly in the city. We mourn their loss, and we want to reach out to their families. I do, and everyone else in the leadership of the city feels exactly that same way. Thanks.
Did you know any of the victims?
I did not.
And now at this point, you know, what can you tell us? I know that the police went through great lengths to tell us that they're not going to refer to the shooter by name, just as the suspect. What more do we know?
I really don't know any more than you've heard from Chief Severa and Dave Hansen. I have no inside information. I am following it along just with everyone else in the community. I'm back at the Municipal Center now for the first time since I left.
And do you know anything about the survivors who were wounded?
I do not. There are I'm waiting for that information, but that has not been released, and I don't have any inside information about that.
I understand. And, we know the shooter was a city employee. He had access to the building, the rooms inside. Do you think the city will have to change security, especially with municipal buildings?
Well, I'm sure after this trauma, we will investigate that. I certainly couldn't predict what the results of that would be and what actual actions, if any, might be taken, but I assure you we will investigate it thoroughly.
You mentioned it's a beautiful resort community that you live in, Virginia Beach. It's just the kickoff, really, of the height of resort season. What do you say to folks who might be considering coming here for a vacation but might be a little bit apprehensive? How do you move forward?
Well, we have an excellent police force. I am not afraid for my own safety, that of my family, or any visitors here. We just had a very, very large gathering, a festival called Something in the Water, where we had hundreds of thousands of folks in town and very, very little crime. And we've got another large festival this weekend, actually, sponsored by the USO, the Patriotic Festival for Wounded Warriors. A lot of people in town. As far as I know, those events are proceeding on schedule.
City Councilman.
And I'm sure they'll
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Tower, I apologize.
Oh, I'm sure that folks will be as safe as they would be on any other weekend here. And we will take extra care for them, obviously, this weekend. I'm sure everyone is a little nervous about that, but I'm confident our police are competent to take care of the job.
We want to thank you very much for joining us, in which I know is a difficult time for your community. City Council Member Guy Tower, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I want to just let you know, we're expecting officials in Virginia Beach to hold a news conference this afternoon. It's scheduled for 3 p.m. Eastern. We're going to bring that to you live on CBSN as soon as it happens. So keep it right here for that and all the latest developments. We'll be following this story very closely throughout the day.